What up? It's your boy Wall Street, and I am back, and I have some very exciting news. This was the best news story I have seen throughout free agency, and I'm very excited to tell you all that Damian Lillard, aka Dame D.O.L.L.A, aka Dame Time, aka that motherfucking dude, is going back to the Portland Trail Blazers, where it all started. And he is returning on a 3-year, $42 million deal that includes a player option in the 27-28 season, as well as a no-trade clause. So this is awesome. This is just an awesome story, because when Dame got traded from the Trailblazers, a part of me was like, this sucks. Like, and I'm not a Blazers fan, but like, Damian Lillard is what made that franchise so exciting. And there was a piece of me that was like, now that he's going to the Bucks and he's playing with Giannis, he's not going to be the superstar focal point of that team. And as good as he was in Milwaukee, it's not like he was bad in Milwaukee at all. It's just, it was still Giannis's team, right? And I loved having Dame lead his own team. And just for comparison, his last season in Portland, he averaged 32.2 points per game. And then his first season in Milwaukee averaged 24.3 points per game. So went down by about 8 points a night. And, it didn't feel like we were seeing the same Damian Lillard. And the Bucks never really were able to, really make a move in the postseason. They didn't really look like a formidable team when it came time to actually try and win. And I don't think that was Dame or Giannis's fault. It just, the chemistry between the two on the court just didn't really seem like it was a match. And that's fine. So the Bucks obviously waived Damian Lillard. He's still owed, I think, like $113 million by the Bucks, but they're stretching that over the next, I think, 5 seasons. So he's going to get paid around $22.5 million per year by the Bucks. On top of that, he's now going to be making, this $42 million over the next 3 seasons. So I think his total income from NBA contracts next year is going to be like $70 million between the Trailblazers deal and the Bucks deal. So I don't think there's anyone happier in this situation than Damian Lillard. And if you guys remember, he talked about it in, a couple of articles and interviews and stuff about how his life when he moved to Milwaukee wasn't very exciting. Like, he didn't really have a ton of friends. His life was kind of boring. It's like he goes to practice, he goes to the games, he comes home, and he watches fighting videos on YouTube, boxing videos. So he just seemed like a dude that he moved to a new town for a new job, and he didn't really have friends. And Dame's not really a super outward bubbly dude, right? He's a super nice guy, it seems like, but he's not a guy that's super extroverted. So it made sense, right? So I think he's getting the best of both worlds here. He's getting to go back to Milwaukee, not to Milwaukee. He's going back to Portland, where he spent the first 11 years of his career. He was a 9-time All-Star. Well, he's been a 9-time All-Star throughout his career. He was a 7-time All-Star with Portland alone. He has the Blazers franchise record for points in a game with 71. And I just, the game winner against the Thunder in the 2019 playoffs will always just stick in my mind, where he hits the 3 from the logo basically and waves goodbye to the Thunder. Basically really put that franchise into a rebuild phase. And, obviously the Thunder have come back now and they're, NBA champions, but, Damian Lillard really set them back a little bit, because they had Paul George, they had Russell Westbrook. That was a team that was, poised to go far in the playoffs, and, Damian just kind of ended it right there. So I'm super excited about this. I think their team now in Portland is going to be very experienced. Obviously, Damian Lillard is probably not going to play this entire, upcoming season, rehabbing from the Achilles injury. But I do expect him to come back in full force the following season. So I don't know if the Blazers will make the playoffs this coming season, but it doesn't really matter. And in my book, they're not really going to go far in the playoffs until Dame comes back. But it does assert some questions about this team going forward. they traded away Anthony Simons. They brought in Drew Holiday. And, it really seemed like this was the time for Scoot Henderson to really shine. But now you're bringing back Dame. You're probably not bringing Damian Lillard off the bench. So, what's going to happen with Scoot Henderson? What's going to happen with Drew Holiday? You're probably going to start Dame and Drew Holiday next to each other, right? So Scoot Henderson is probably going to be the sixth man. I don't know if he's going to want to do that. I don't know if the Blazers are going to try to move him. So there's a lot of questions that this brings up, but I think this is a net positive for sure, right? You get back a guy who is very important to the city of Portland and the fans of the organization, and he's going to be a great vet for these guys to have. Like, I can't think of a better person to put on that team because he's been there. He's been with the franchise through the ups and downs, right? And obviously, it seems like he was the one that wanted the change of scenery. I don't think he wanted to go to Milwaukee. I think he wanted to go to Miami. That clearly did not happen. And, it didn't work out. So he went out, he experienced it, and now he's like, cool, I want to come home. I'm pretty sure his family still lives in Portland. Like his mom, his siblings, his kids, I'm pretty sure they're all there. He has his house in Portland. So, it really, this makes so much sense. And I kind of had a feeling, I was like, I don't know if he's going to re-sign with the Blazers for this upcoming season, but I was like, I have a feeling that it's a very Dame Lillard thing to, go back to Portland and retire there. I could just see that happening, and it seems like it's happening. So, a lot of questions. But another thing that I thought was interesting is that, I saw a post that was revisiting the Trailblazers trade from, a few years back when they traded Damian Lillard. And the Blazers have now basically reacquired all of those assets that were involved in that trade, which is pretty funny because obviously, Drew Holiday was involved in that trade. I'll just read it to you guys. So that trade originally involved the Blazers receiving Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, Toumani Camara, 2029 first-round pick, and 2 pick swaps from the Bucks, first-round pick swaps from the Bucks. The Celtics got Drew Holiday, and the Bucks got Dame. And so now, 2 years later, the Blazers have Damian Lillard, Drew Holiday, Robert Williams, Toumani Camara, the 2029 Bucks first-round pick, the 2 first-round pick swaps as well in 28 and 2030. So at the end of the day, the Blazers really won the Damian Lillard trade because they got every single piece that was involved in the trade. And they didn't have to, make another trade to bring Damian Lillard back. And frankly, you're getting Dame on a significant discount because he's already getting paid a lot of money from the Bucks. So, this is a huge day for Blazers fans. Huge day for Blazers fans. So I'm speechless. I'm a big fan of Damian Lillard. I think this is just this is such an amazing move. But right now the projected depth chart for next season has Drew Holiday at the starting point guard, Shaedon Sharpe at the 2, Denny Avdia at the 3, Jeremy Grant at the 4, and Donovan Clingan at the 5. So obviously I think when Dame comes back, it's going to be a backcourt of Drew Holiday and Dame. Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot Henderson are probably going to come off the bench. But who knows? Drew Holiday might not even be on the roster by the time Damian comes back and is inserted into that lineup. But just wanted to talk about this with you guys. Very exciting stuff. Dame D.O.L.L.A is going back to Portland, Oregon, where it all started. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm going to catch you guys later, man. Stay up, stay blessed, stay safe, stay humble, handle business, stand on business. Peace out.